broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. This edition of Gun Guy Radio is supplied by Alien Gear Holsters. AlienGearHolsters.com.
Welcome to episode 163 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challen, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without politics. And we are live from Nashville for NRA Show 2015. Well, I guess we're not live, this is pre-recorded, but we are in our Airbnb studio, I guess. Has a nice echo to it, has a cat meowing in the background. I'm here with Ryan Machad of Handgun Radio. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. So this is a little bit of new territory for you, your first NRA show. How's it going?
It was quite the experience. I don't think I've ever seen so many people in one spot at one time. It was, Friday was pretty subdued, but still pretty busy. Saturday was crazy busy. You could barely walk in the aisles. And then Sunday was a little bit more subdued, had a little bit more time with some of the reps from the company, so that was good to kind of get a little bit more information on their upcoming products and stuff they already have in the pipeline.
Right. So they give listeners kind of a picture. This is Sunday night after the show. We're in, like I said, the house we rented. We flew and drove down here to stay in. So the audio is not going to be as nice as it usually is, but hey, we're getting a show out, and we had pretty cool time. We had a listener meetup on Saturday night.
Yep, that was actually pretty good. We had that down in downtown Nashville at Paradise.
I never realized how many bars were in downtown Nashville. It's like a complete party town.
I believe it was the Paradise Trailer Resort that we had it at.
Yeah, it had the loudest music ever. I think we ran many listeners away just because we picked the seediest place on the street. But it was fun. Thanks for all the listeners coming out to that. It was a good time. And so we're gonna this episode we're gonna cover a few of the interesting things we saw at NRA Show 2015, and we're gonna. Ryan's going to talk. You're going to talk about more on your show, Handgun Radio, right?
Yeah, I mainly. Well, I did look at some rifle stuff that I was interested in, but I looked at a lot of different handgun stuff. Talked to a lot of different people about some of the stuff they have going out or coming up as well. So we'll be doing a little bit more of the handgun stuff on Handgun Radio. This will be a little bit more of a wider range of topics and a little bit of gear. So,
do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it.
Welcome back to the main topic, and Ryan, what do you want to talk about first? Maybe the pistols that we encountered?
Yeah, I think we probably ought to start off with the first thing that TJ and I did when we got into Nashville for the show. Glock introduced their long-awaited single-stack 9mm, the Glock 43, and TJ and I actually got the opportunity to go over to Nashville Armory and shoot the thing, and I will admit, at first, I was pretty skeptical. As long-time listeners will know, I carry a Car CM9, which is a really small single-stack 9mm, and I was kind of ragging on the Glock 43. It's a lot bigger than my car, and I thought it was just, too little too late. It didn't really bring much to the table that a lot of other manufacturers hadn't already done. And so we got the invite from Glock to go to the media event. Nashville Armory, beautiful range, beautiful gun shop. If you are in the Nashville area, I highly recommend going to check that out. And so basically we showed up, we registered, had a little briefing with the Glock representative. He went over the gun itself. And from what he said, in the briefing itself, he was pointing out the differences between the 42 and the 43, the 42 being the 380 version that came out last year. And he pointed out that a lot of the parts probably would not interchange with the 42, mainly because they had to stretch quite a bit of the design to accommodate the 9mm cartridge. There are a few parts, and he did not know specifics about that, so we'll have to stay tuned and figure out the details on that later on down the line. And because on that Thursday, he said the gun had not launched yet. They were being ready to be shipped that day, and the official launch of the Glock 43 was on Friday, April 10th, I believe. So they hadn't yet launched, so we kind of got a first look at the gun, which was really nice. And so they had a little safety briefing, talked about the design of the gun, what went into it, and then we headed down into the range. I got to put probably about 15, 20 rounds through it. They had a few magazines set up. TJ got to put a few rounds through it as well, and there is a video on one of the Facebook pages of him shooting it. So you can kind of see the muzzle flip, the recoil control, stuff like that. And I got to say, after shooting it, I was really impressed. I don't care for the serrated trigger. Now, the serrated triggers are the ones that have the vertical serrations on either side of the little flipper safety. And they, for me at least, and some people may like them, they remind me of the old target triggers that go on the older revolvers. You used to see them put on a lot of Smith & Wessons. And if the problem is when you're using them in a defensive situation, your finger goes on the trigger quickly. You may not have the time to think about proper trigger finger placement. And the thing is, with a smooth trigger, if that happens, your finger will tend to slide down and will end up in the right place on the trigger. And I felt like with the serrated trigger, it was just causing me problems. But other than that, if I did not have my car, I would probably consider getting a Glock 43. Did you get to handle one at the show?
Yeah, I did. I stopped by the booth. I didn't go to the Glock event, but I stopped by Glock's booth only to pick up the Glock 43 and kind of compare it to what, because I currently carry the Springfield XDS 45 4-inch model. Comparing it to that, and it's somewhat similar in size and everything, but I still prefer my Springfield.
Now, how many rounds does your Springfield hold? I don't have the stats.
It holds 6, I believe. 6, and the extended version holds... No, I think it holds 5. Maybe it's 5 plus 1 and 7 plus 1. But you asked me on the spot. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's... Because my car, I believe, holds 6 plus 1. But
that's 45.
That's true. See, this is a 9mm, and mine is as well. And that was one of the common complaints I heard leveled at the Glock 43 when it was first released. People were complaining about the capacity. It's a small gun. It is a small gun. It's not. I
thought they did it very well. I mean, you can tell they went back to the drawing board and specifically made a new gun.
Right. Shooting it was very controllable. It was very accurate. At 15 yards, I was getting really decent groupings, especially for a gun I had just picked up.
And I should say, new gun for Glock means one just like all the rest.
Right.
But right. You could tell that they made it its own gun, and I can see how it could easily be one of the most recommended options for carry in the future.
I mean, everybody that I talked to at the media event really enjoyed shooting it. There were some that did, say it's a little too small for my hands. Some people have a real hard time with those slim 9s because their trigger finger doesn't naturally fall in the right place.
Yeah, and I didn't get that impression. I have pretty big hands, and I get that impression on a lot of these small single stack or even double stack 9s when I pick them up. Excuse me. That it doesn't fit right, especially it being too short of a grip for my palm.
Right.
But I didn't seem to have that issue with the Glock 43. So.
Yeah, and I mean it at 6.26 inches overall length and 4.25 inches high, and it's only 1.02 inches wide. So, like we said, it is a really small gun. And the weight, including the magazine, is 17 ounces. So it's a really light firearm. If you have some of the concerns I had was might be too big for pocket carry for some people. If you're wearing some certain types of like fitted pants or something like that, it may be a little bit too big.
You're wearing your skinny jeans, right?
Yeah, my skinny jeans probably wouldn't work there. But so it would have to be something you'd have to go to the range, maybe try out and see if you actually do like it before you buy it. But overall, I was very impressed with it. I really enjoyed shooting it, and kind of made me regret saying all the things I said about it before I actually got to handle it. And it reminded me why I should not run my mouth before I actually handle the firearm.
So let's move on to the Rock Island Armory booth, where we talked about this at previous shows. I think it was SHOT Show 2 years ago. They premiered the Rock Island 22 TCM round, which is a hot little pistol round that I don't have the specs in front of me, but it really zips along. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the 5.7, the military version of the 5.7 as far as speed goes. But because I shot in a few of their 1911s. I think it was shot 2 years ago. It was a fun little cartridge.
I was talking to Martin Tuason, the president of Arms Corps and Rock Island, and also his cousin Carlos, and they were talking about how it's based on the 224. I originally had thought it was based on the 9mm cartridge, but I actually believe it has similar case head dimensions as the 224 and also as the 9mm. So you have some commonality in the magazines. That also allows you to have that top end switch out like we had with the 1911s there. One of the cool things we saw, though, was the Glock upper. So this isn't technically something, or they said it isn't technically something that you can just buy and just throw on top of your gun. It may require a little bit of a gunsmith's attention to make it work right. But I'm really impressed with it. And like I told Carlos when he was talking about it, I think that the upper is going to get this cartridge into the hands of a lot more people than would, them having to go buy a whole new gun like one of the 1911s they produced chambered in the round.
Right, than them having to buy one of their guns.
Exactly.
Yeah, it impressed me that they came out with it this soon. So what we're talking about is a complete upper end for a Glock. So you say you have a Glock. What is this for, the 17 series? Or
yeah, I believe this was on a 17 that they had at the show.
So let's say you have a Glock 17. You just remove your slide, put the slide on it. Now they did say you may have a gunsmith.
You may
go over. Yeah. Now I believe some of the Glock 22 slide conversions, they also had that stipulation.
And it may, you may, probably in terms of if you want maximum reliability out of the upper end, if you have problems, that may be something you may have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's something where they want you to have it checked out by a gunsmith before you fire it or something like that. We'll have to get more info on that. But yeah, I thought it was really cool because, yeah, like you said, anyone with a Glock can start to shoot. And, well, with that, frame size Glock, the 17 series, or its variations, can just basically start shooting this round, right off the bat. So that's really neat.
We did do a video with Carlos while we were on the show floor, and he shows off the thing, and that video we'll be posting later on this week up on the Firearms Radio Network YouTube channel. He showed one of the interesting things with that conversion unit. He showed us this new 22 TCM round. So the usual 22 TCM looks like a little tiny bottlenecked cartridge with this little tiny bullet on top. The round that they designed for use in the Glock, it's the same thing, but the bullet nose is sort of flattened, and I guess it's seated just a little bit deeper in the case. And that is so you don't have to buy special magazines to use in the Glock conversion unit. You can use these 22 TCM rounds with the bullet that's seated a little bit deeper in the case with that flattered nose profile, and use your standard Glock magazines so you don't have to worry about going out and buying a bunch of magazines.
Is that a compressed load? Is that a load that reloaders will be able to reload at home, I wonder?
He didn't specify, and it didn't look like it was that far down in the case. It honestly looked more like the shape of the nose being altered had more to do with it than them seating it deeper. Because if you put the two side by side, there's a pretty pronounced point on the original 22 TCM, and on this one, it was sort of more of a round nose bullet. It looked like a hollow point almost with a flattened nose on it.
So looking at the 22 TCM specs here real quick, it looks like that little round zips along at, it's a 40 grain projectile, it zips along at 2,100 feet per second.
And I guess I was mistaken. I guess the parent case is the 5.56. The bullet diameter is 2.24. So I was going off what Martin had told me on the show, or what Carlos had told me on the show floor. So I apologize for that. But it's a really interesting round. I've seen people firing it. And when you fired it, did you notice quite the muzzle flash? Or?
I didn't notice it. It was in bright daylight when I shot it. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I think there's a lot of possibilities with maybe submachine gun applications. This could replace, I don't know, maybe a lot of the things they were trying to do with the 5.7 round,
right,
or 357 SIG round, where you can put this round into carbines and really get some performance out of it.
And one of the interesting things that I didn't actually get to see one, unfortunately, but Carlos was telling me that they're also, I don't know if it's actually Rock Island or Arms Corps, but they are coming out with a rifle in 22 TCM. It may actually already be available. I'm not quite sure.
I think
it
might be.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Rock Island Baby Rock. Is that right?
Baby Rock. Now, this was one of my favorites of the show. It's a slimmed down 1911 style in 380. And one of the similar ones that we were kind of comparing it to was that Browning 380 that was scaled down, I believe, to like 80% size of a normal 1911. And at this time, now actually handling the Baby Rock, I'm kind of leaning toward, if I had to pick between the two, I would go with the Baby Rock. I like the shorter barrel because it is shorter than the Browning. It's quite a bit smaller than the Browning. And the best thing I can compare the size to with it is the Colt 1903. It reminds me, it's a similar size of my 1903, except it has a hammer and it looks just like a 1911.
Yeah, you and your 1903 loving. It's really cool though. 380 1911. And you brought up the Browning 85, right? Browning.
Yeah, I think it's 80%.
80. I think it's 85%.
Is it 85
actually? And so a couple of years ago, they came out with their 22 caliber version,
right,
of the 85%, somewhere around there. I'm not sure if it's the same percentage as the new 380, but they basically just replicated that Browning 22 caliber into a 380, which is really neat.
Right.
I'm really impressed with those Brownings, but yeah, it's neat that another company, Rock Island, is also bringing the same, miniaturized. Not really miniature, but smaller 1911. I think it'd be. I don't know. I'm looking at a lot of guns, handguns that might be fun to, shoot with my kids in a few years.
Right.
And those little Browning 22s and even the 380, I think would be kind of neat.
And this would be sized, if you wanted to get your kid into the centerfire game without getting them up into the nines, this would be sized perfectly for a smaller child's hands. And even my hands, it was still very controllable. Mm-hmm. It still has a grip safety. It has a thumb safety. And the thing that got me the difference between the two was the heft. I believe the lower frame of the Browning is made out of aluminum. And I asked Carlos, and I guess the Baby Rock is made out of all steel.
I would guess so. It seems like most of the Rock Island guns are all steel.
Right.
Now that's where you and I differ. I prefer the Browning because it is lighter and longer. But yeah, that's probably just personal preference. But let's go on to the Cabot guns. So if you remember the Cabot, I think we both interviewed Cabot, haven't we?
Yeah, I had Rob Biankin, the president of Cabot, on my show. I believe after SHOT Show 2014.
Oh, I think I had Brian Zins on it.
Yeah.
We talked Cabot, but it's a real ultra high end 1911s. Like they have ones that we'll talk about how high they go. But I'd say they probably average
4,000, 5,000.
I'd say even higher than that, maybe 7,000 average price.
For the more finished ones, I know there were a few there that I saw around the $4,500, $5,000 range.
So this year, we'll just mention this really quick. I think we might be doing an interview, maybe one or both of us, on Cabot, and they came out with more of a, I don't know, what we call budget. They don't call it that, but budget line of 1911. So that what they're like $3,400 price point.
Yeah, I actually got a really good. I had actually quite a bit of time to talk with Rob because he actually had reached out to me and wanted to make sure that we met because we had talked before. So the first place I went actually at the show was the Cabot booth and spoke for quite a while with Rob at length about all the stuff they're doing. He showed me around, showed me a bunch of their case sets they have, but he did show me their new line, which he called the S-Series. So these are 1911s that are not as highly polished as you would originally expect most of the Cabot guns to be, but still have the same high-quality internals, the same, machining, everything you come to expect on a Cabot gun, just with a little bit less of the finish on the outside, more of a utilitarian finish, and not something that you may feel guilty about taking out and actually using, like you may with some of the higher end ones that are, you can look at yourself.
Yeah, they're definitely not for the average guy, I guess. They're probably more for the higher end collector, or maybe
they are works of art.
Yeah, they're and they had several works of art there, and the one I wanted to talk about, I think you did too, Ryan, was the gun that was partly made out of a meteorite.
Yeah, it had. Rob was telling me that the grips were made, and I believe it was only the grips. The grips were made out of a piece of a meteorite, and so there's a picture we'll link to in the show notes. And it looks very like a mottled gray look, almost. Just various lines, but it just looked awesome. So it's sort of like the silvery gray grips and usual high polish that you see on the Cabot guns. And I actually believe it did sell at the show. I'm not quite sure. I can't confirm. But it was just amazing to look at. I had somebody tell me before I went down there, they asked if I had ever seen a Cabot in person. And I said, well, I've only seen pictures. And they're like, no, pictures don't do them justice. When you see them, you're gonna have a whole new appreciation for them.
Yeah, they are definitely beautiful.
I actually had a hard time photographing them. I had to end up taking a video because the light reflecting off of them kept tweaking the camera.
They're awful shiny. But, so Rossi, let's talk about the Rossi lever action. Have you had any experience with Rossi?
I have actually. One of my first guns was a break action Rossi.
Okay, so my dad, I think he has a cowboy gun or two, and made by Rossi, and 357 Sig, I believe. But I was really
Magnum,
or did I say Sig?
I wish
357 Magnum and 38 Special, but they had several. There, and one that caught my eye right away was a 16-inch 454 Casull lever action.
The 454 out of a rifle is a whole different cartridge altogether. The 454 is, as most of you know, be a lengthened 45 Colt. Now, you said your dad has one?
No, I saw it on the show.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying I had some experience with Ross.
Right.
I guess I didn't elaborate on that, but I've had good experiences with them. So I was checking them out, and I saw that 454 Casull in a short, compact, easy to handle 16-inch lever action, and thought that would be a really cool ranch gun, truck gun, just maybe even a cowboy gun, but.
Well, the best part there is you could load it with 45 Colt.
Right. Well, and it's got a really good price point, too. It's like, I don't know, like $750-ish, somewhere around there. I mean, for, a big caliber lever action.
Right.
Good value, especially since, like, Marlin isn't really doing much anymore.
No, and I found the quality of the Marlins kind of wanting. I did go by their booth while I was there, and they're doing better than they have been in the past, but definitely. I mean, the Rossi lever actions, I haven't been terribly impressed with their revolvers in the past, but their lever actions I've always seen pretty decent.
I was disappointed with Marlin because like I said, I'm looking for guns that I can shoot with my kids in a few years.
Right.
And in the past at gun stores and stuff, I always remember seeing 22 caliber Marlins that were really nice, low lever actions. But looking around at the Marlin booth, I didn't see a single 22 lever action.
I think a lot of that is they've kind of gone away from that. They're doing a lot of their centerfire stuff in 30-30. I picked up a Marlin in 45-70, and it was just, the action was rough. It didn't seem up to because I know somebody who has an old Marlin in 30-30, and that one is head and shoulders above what I found there.
That's what I've been hearing too, is that the older Marlins are the ones to get. The Montana Rifle Company, I didn't stop by these guys.
This one was fun. So this was one that we just happened to see. We were, I think me and TJ went to the FLIR booth, the FLIR booth, or whatever TJ said it was called.
FLIR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're walking away from that booth, and I glance over, and on this wall I see a very nice safari setup. And I look, and I see this massive rifle sitting on the wall. So I go over, I talk to the guy, and he is with Montana Rifle Company, and this is I don't remember the model number of the rifle. There is a video going up about this rifle, so stay tuned for the link to that on the social media. But it's in 505 Gibbs, and 505 Gibbs is one of the Safari cartridges that you'll see. I don't have the history in front of me on the cartridge itself, but looking at the bore, that was the first thing that caught me, because .505, it's just a massive round. And so I actually talked to the guy, got an interview. He was telling me that it's a cross between the Winchester Model 70, the best features of the 70, and the best features of the Mauser. So they manufacture everything in-house. Nothing is manufactured by anybody else. They do everything.
Wow.
It's a controlled round feed. So from the time that round comes out of the magazine, it is held by the extractor. It's got that massive claw extractor. So you're not having to worry about push feed designs or anything like that, because there are a lot of people who do go on safari over in Africa, go hunting, want that controlled round feed. They want the reliability of that. Some people don't care, but in that caliber, that's something what they want. And also, on that platform of rifle, it's not just 505 Gibbs. That's a long-action platform, so they have a range of calibers, and the guy listed them off in the video, all the way up to 505 Gibbs, and there's a few others, I believe 416 Rigby and a few others like that. And then they have a small, Montana Rifle Works also has a smaller action that'll accommodate different cartridges, like a 30-06, 308, 223, 243, stuff like that, short, long action. But this rifle was just exquisite. The machining, the finish, the stock. And it amazed me that the fact that they actually do everything in-house. Not a lot of companies do that nowadays. And in a smaller company doing everything in-house, you're going to get that attention to detail that you may not get elsewhere. And the fact that they even do the stocks in-house amazes me, because most companies do not do the stocks in-house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful rifle, but yeah, the thing is huge.
It's heavy. It certainly is heavy.
So it's even magazine fed?
Yeah, I believe it's an internal magazine. It's not a detachable box magazine.
So 505, I mean, is that like $20 per round? I can only imagine.
If I had to guess, it would probably be about $25 per round, maybe even more.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure some of the higher cartridges, like the 585 Niati and the 600 Nitro Express, those are up around the $80 per round range. So this is certainly not a rifle for the faint of wallet, but definitely very interesting to see craftsmen doing what they know how to do really well.
All right, so you wanted to talk about the SIG MPX.
This I'm really excited about. Frequent guest Weirdbeard is also really excited about. The SIG MPX is SIG's foray into the sort of the submachine gun market. Now, the one that you're going to be getting on the civilian market is going to be the semi-auto only version. But originally, this was going to be coming out 9mm, 357 SIG, and I believe 40. And I'm not sure on that, but I know the 357 SIG was discussed. But right now, it's out in 9mm. And the reasoning behind them coming out with this gun is twofold. Number one, most of the days of the submachine gun are over, basically. Most like SWAT teams, military units that would have formerly used submachine guns, they've moved away from that. They've moved away from the pistol caliber guns. They've moved towards short-barreled AR-15s, M4s, mainly because, you know, in a situation where like you're clearing a house, for instance, the studies have found, and experiences, real street experiences have found that pistol rounds at the 9mm will actually penetrate more walls than a rifle round, like a .223. The .223 is very unstable in flight. It hits a wall and it tends to deviate from its original flight path and doesn't over-penetrate. And, it's kind of counterintuitive. So they've been moving away from that. But this thing right here it's different. They're using the AR-15 setup. So whereas the MP5, if you were switching from the AR-15 to the MP5, you have to go through a whole different manual of arms. You have to learn where the charging handle is, you have to learn where the safety selector switch is, all that stuff. The MPX is designed with the AR-15 user in mind.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea behind that, to have the same user interface
right.
on whatever platform you're using. I don't know. I always go back to, is the AR-15 user interface the best one? I mean, should we be emulating that? Because I think there are better interfaces out there, but yeah, it is cool that they're doing that. It makes a lot of sense, especially for law enforcement or military. They want
right.
to be able to pick up and, well, even self-defense, be able to pick up and know how to use it, whichever gun it is. That muscle memory and everything for where, all those switches are at. And did you mention that they made it so it's actually a convertible, that you can convert it from 9?
I don't know if it's convertible. I do know the lower receiver was stamped multi-cal. So I don't...
Well, it says on their site here, converts to... I would think it's convertible if they say it converts to...
It may. I don't know if those kits for the conversions are available yet. I didn't actually get a chance to talk to any of the SIG reps because the SIG booth was, I would have to say, probably as busy, if not maybe a bit busier than the Smith & Wesson booth.
Yeah, the SIG was, I was there several times talking to different people there, and it was really, really busy every time. Even at the end of the show, it was still busy, where other stuff was winding down. So yeah, SIG's really going in the good direction on many of their product lines. So that's really cool to see. Let's talk about the CMMG Mutant. So this is CMMG's a foray into, I just used one of your words, into the AR/AK. So it's basically an AR that takes AK mags. And I think it's probably one of the best ones out. There's other companies that made these hybrids where, you can use the AR-15 handguards on them and other, butt stocks and other things. But they shoot the AK round, they use the AK magazines. And supposedly the CMMG uses all AK mags, steel, polymer. The only thing they said is that Tapco mags could be a little hit and miss, maybe.
That's one of the common problems, though, with these conversion units, especially for like AR-15s that are using like the AR-15 magwell, and they try to adapt it or adapt that design to an AK magazine. Because you got to remember, the AR-15, the .223 5.56 is not a tapered round. The 7.62 by 3.9 has a massive taper on it. That's why you have the very radically curved magazines. And you also have that rocking in motion with the magazines rather than the straight in motion like you see on most normal ARs. So CMMG has taken a different approach. If you're looking at the gun, at first glance it does look like your standard AR, but the magwell is not normally where it would be.
Yeah, so they came up with a unique lower and unique upper for this. And so if you can just picture the gun, the AR parts you can put on this. I may have said AR-15 earlier, but this is actually the handguards and everything are the 308 variant is what this is made for. So the AR-10, 308 handguards and stuff, but yeah, the upper and lower that's proprietary, and like you said, it allows you to rock in the AK mags properly, has the AK style release, and then you can put whatever AR-15, or there I go again. You can put whatever 308 platform AR furniture on it that you want, the handguard, the pistol grip, the buttstock, trigger group, so you can really custom, probably even charging handle, but I'm not positive on that. So you can really customize it like you can, your other ARs, but yet it's kind of, it's got that AK flavor, I guess.
Right. I really like that full-length flat top upper with the Picatinny rail running from front to back. I'm someone who doesn't really care for traditional scopes. I like a forward scout-mounted scope. I can't really use red dots because, as I found out pretty much the entire show, I have astigmatism, and trying out the red dots, TJ would be picking up a red dot and say, "Oh, that's really crisp." And I would pick it up, and it looked like someone had taken their thumb and smudged the red dot across the sight itself.
Do you have that problem with like green dots too, or is it just
I have that problem with pretty
spectrum?
Much any optical sight that isn't just two crosshairs.
Huh.
I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it's because I have astigmatism, but anything that's just like your normal sight that has just the two hairs is fine. But anything with like the red dot or anything like that, I have trouble with.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable and concealable holsters on the planet, is offering big savings with our new 2-holster combo. Now you can buy 2 complete holsters for as little as $49.88. Choose from any available holster styles and colors for the guns of your choice. All of Alien Gear's quality products are made right here in the USA and include a 30-day trial, forever warranty, and free shell trades for life. Visit aliengearholsters.com today.
All right, let's talk about the Mossberg MVP. I think you put this in here. So is that the one that takes AR mags?
Yes.
Okay.
It actually is it's kind of a sleeper hit. I've heard a lot of people. I believe it does. Yeah, some of them take the AR mags. I'm not sure if all of them do. Again, the Mossberg booth was actually surprisingly busy as well.
No, I think I goofed you up on that. Does it? Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Compatible with AR-15 magazines. Yeah, we talked about this when it came out. So they even have like a scout version. That's why you like it.
Yes.
And patrol version, flex version. They got a version that will use AR-15 buttstocks. Buffer tube and everything. They got a lot of variations of it. But anyways, Ryan, sorry.
Well, I really like these rifles. Like you said, they have the Scout setups as well. But the price points are pretty attractive. They're not that expensive for what you're getting.
So what's the price point on these?
The price, I don't have it in front of me. You may have it in front of you. But they're not, I believe they're right around $500. And for a bolt-action rifle, I mean, I don't believe they're not over $1,000, that's for sure. And, with something like the Ruger Gunsight Scout, you're looking at least $1,000, maybe a little bit under. And the magazines, I believe the Gunsight Scout uses the Accuracy International mags. So those are pretty expensive as well. Whereas this Mossberg, you're getting pretty high quality. I got to handle a couple of the different models, and I was really impressed with how it handled, how the bolt cycled. Just the overall build quality of the gun, I was very impressed with.
I think the Scout, is it Ruger?
Yeah, the Gunsight Scout.
Yeah, the Gunsight Scout. I thought that was around the $1,700.
It's over $1,000.
I'd have to look, but the MVP version of the Scout, which is also 7.62, its MSRP is $940. So I would guess you might be able to get it for about mid $850 or so. But I think you're right. I think some of the baseline MVPs
are right around 6 or 7.
Right, yeah, right around 6, I think. So, Mossberg's really good about making quality rifles or shotguns for your budget.
Right, and that's one thing I never understood as to why, if you're going to design a rifle, I mean, unless you really want someone to buy your proprietary magazines, why not allow it to use AR mags? There are plenty of those around. People don't have to get the ones that are really long. They can get one of the shorter ones so the profile isn't that long at the bottom. And just, use those mags that are plentiful, because that's going to be a selling point for people.
Well, especially now that companies like Brownells are making, their own AR mags. Now Brownells makes it, whether it's AR-15 or the 308 platform, they make, your AR mag.
Right.
And so you can get a good quality, mag at a really good price point that you can buy, 10 of them without them really hurting the bank. I mean, you might be able to get a sale on them, buy 10 of them for the price of one in our Accuracy International.
Well, and if you're looking at a rifle, why, if you have that magazine interchangeability, you're probably going to go for the gun that allows you to use the mags you already have.
That too.
Rather than, I have to buy a whole new weapon system. I hate using that term,
that's why carbines that take Glock mags, right, are really good.
Right.
Really good route for a lot of people. So the MP40.
So everybody pretty much knows what the MP40 is. MP40, the German submachine gun from World War II. It's ATI that's bringing this in. It's German Sport Guns is making it. And it is a reproduction of the MP40 that was in 9mm. This one is in 22 long rifle. So it comes in a wooden box. I believe it's handcrafted in New York. And
the box?
The box is. And
New York City.
the MP40, it's got a longer barrel, so that way it actually makes the compliant length for the ATF. And it uses a faux suppressor to shroud that extra portion of barrel that makes it long enough. It has a folding stock, just like the original, operates just like the original with the charging handle on the left side. Looks almost exactly like the originals. I've actually held an original MP40 up at one of the auction houses, and that one was going for $30,000 as the minimum bid. And this one, I believe you can get right around the $400 to $600 range. They hadn't quite talked about the price point yet.
It seems like a lot of the GSGs are in that price range, and they have like a SCAR.
They have a SCAR. They have an STG-44, the Sturmgewehr, the assault rifle that was from World War II as well. That was actually the first one that came out.
And maybe even like MP5s
they do have that as well.
I don't know. I get some of these 22 caliber companies mixed up, but it is pretty neat. All the cool guns that you might not be able to shoot.
Right.
The real ones, but you can go to the range and have some fun with the 22 versions.
And there will be a video on this one coming up as well. I did a video with one of the guys from ATI, and he did also tell me that they are currently working on the import permits, and they're trying to get GSG to start making a 9mm version reproduction of the MP40.
That would be cool.
That one will more than likely come in a pistol format with either a welded stock, so you use it as a pistol, and if you want to file the tax stamp, you can probably break the weld, and so obviously after you've filed the tax stamp, and gotten it back.
I don't know how that works. I thought some of those scenarios, like once it was one thing, you couldn't take it to be another.
I'm not sure how they're going to work that. I think the guy did say he wanted them to go, rather than going that route, he wanted them to go with making the barrel a lot longer. So if you did want to make it an SBR and have a folding stock, you could probably have the barrel cut down and have the sight put on. They weren't quite sure because those guns even haven't entered production. So don't really know how that's going to play out. He did say, though, they were looking at that. And I did beg him, I said, please make a copy of the Sten in 22, make a copy of that Russian submachine gun in 22 from World War II with the drum magazine. That would be cool. I think those would sell really great.
Yeah.
All those submachine guns that everybody sees in movies, but they never actually get to hold.
So let's talk about the Magpul Hunter X22 stock. So this is a stock for the Ruger 1022. I actually didn't check this out, but I guess you got hands-on?
TJ actually got hands-on with it. I believe he had some videos as well. Those should be going up soon as well. He was really excited about this. So it's the Magpul stock, obviously. It has M-lock holes on the side of it, or key mod, one of the two, on the side of it so you can put your rails and stuff. But the interesting thing to me was the fact that where you have the barrel bedding, it has this tray that goes in that channel. If you have a bull barrel 1022, you use one side of the tray. If you decide to change your barrel out to the thin pencil-style barrel that you get on the stock 1022, you just take the tray, flip it upside down, put it back in the stock, and you have the proper barrel channel for a standard pencil barrel.
Yeah, that's awesome. It says it requires no gunsmithing either. So Magpul's doing some really neat stuff. I mean, they came out with the Glock magazines and the AR-15 magazines that you can dye, your own Hello Kitty colors or whatever. But really cool stuff. And the stock is, right there. It's got it's got a built-in sling loop on the stock, and then probably a sling peg on the front. And then, it's got the M-lock, I believe, on it to put rail attachments.
Yeah, it says M-lock right there, yeah.
So, and then you can choose your colors, too. It comes in, black, flat dark earth, gray, and probably OD green, or some variation of green. But, a price point of $139, once you get the retail price on that, that's right up there with any other 1022 stock, probably.
And it's got a really radically shaped pistol grip. It's very, very comfortable to hold, and very light too. So it's not going to add a whole lot of weight to your 1022.
Yeah, and then I want to interview you just a little bit about the retro. There's a collector's. Okay, the link in the show notes does not work. So there is a collector's area. And I guess I don't really remember this in previous years. Maybe I skipped over it, but there's just one little area of the floor, for collectible, gun. It's like gun clubs that collect a certain gun, or like guns of World War I, or guns of World War II, or pistols of World War II, or whatnot. And there was one booth for. You tell me about it.
Well, I walked through there, and first off, it was over in the corner by the Rock Island Auctions booth. So I got to check that out. They had a bunch of the guns over there that they were going to be auctioning off. They had one of the only known miniature factory engraved Colt Baby Pattersons with the cased set, and that gun was expected to sell at auction for between $400,000 and $600,000.
Wow.
And so there are some pictures of that, I believe, up on one of the social media sites we have here. And then also over on that side.
Well, let me stop you. I did walk through the. What is it? Rock Island Auctions.
Rock Island Auctions. Yeah.
I walked through and looked at. They got some really neat stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the pistols. They've got one of the original Colts in 44 mag.
Yep.
And it looks like It looked like it had been buried in the ground.
Yeah, they had a Walker Colt.
A Walker Colt.
Yeah.
And, man, a big old horse pistol.
Yeah.
And that thing is giant and just, rusted to hell. It looks like, it was probably in someone's basement for 100 years.
Right.
And what's the thing valued at? Like $300,000?
The Walker Colts, I believe that was going for between $100,000 to $200,000.
Yes.
There's not that many out there.
Just crazy. Because they list what condition they're in, because auctions have a rating of condition, and I think the condition was desirable.
Yeah.
You gotta really desire that thing to give a few $100,000 for it.
And that's the thing, to find a Walker Colt in desirable condition is still pretty much a rarity these days. The other parts of the collector's area were really cool. They had a whole setup on Colt officers' model revolvers, owned by various people, various levels of engraving, various finishes. They had one thing that Weirdbeard was talking to me about was the Miniature Firearms Collectors Association.
Mm-hmm.
They had some miniature pistols. They had a miniature submachine gun, miniature Thompson. All, you could put them in the palm of your hand, yet they still fire. They manufacture their own ammo for them.
Wow.
And they had a cased set of a Ruger Blackhawk and a Ruger Standard 22 pistol that they had built for Bill Ruger back when he was alive. And that was really cool to see. Another cool booth was the High Standard and Ingram booth. So they were showing the guns of Ingram. So there was a submachine gun that they tried to introduce during World War II that didn't make it. And then the High Standard pistols that the OSS used, those were 22s that were suppressed. And still actually in use by some covert units today, it's set on the board. I got to see a nice prototype 380 High Standard that had been suppressed, but it didn't make it past that prototype stage because the hostilities ended. There were some Ruger collectors showing off their 41 Magnum guns, some Smith & Wesson guys showing off the Magnum revolvers, the Model 27s, and the end frames. Just so many different guns that you would have never otherwise seen. That famous picture of John Browning with the M1917 machine, the water-cooled machine gun, whichever model number that was. That machine gun was there, sitting right in front of the picture that John Browning had of him sitting there holding it way back when. So that was really cool to see. And also seeing the serial number 21, I believe it was a 1928 Thompson. That was really cool as well. There was just so much to see out back there, and I'm kind of sad. I really hope a lot of people went to go see it because that's not something you see every day. You can see a Glock any day. You can see a Smith any day. Yeah,
it was like a little museum almost on the show floor. That High Standard booth was really neat.
Yeah,
they had probably at least a dozen or more, maybe dozens of prototypes that never saw.
Right.
They never saw production. They never saw action, but they were these prototypes. They were really hard at work trying to make new and better tools for our troops to use to end World War II. And it was just such a cool piece of history.
Yeah, it was definitely make sure you go check out the Firearms Radio Network Facebook page, the Handgun Radio Facebook page, and all the other Facebook pages, because there is just a load of pictures from the show, more than we can even talk about right here.
Well, I think that about wraps up our NRA edition of Gun Guy Radio. Ryan's going to still be hosting Gun Guy through end of July here while I focus on other things I need to do here now that I've quit my dreaded day job. So thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely.
And he'll be back next week with an episode with a much better audio quality. And I appreciate you guys for putting up with this on the road podcast. And we'll see you next week, I guess. Or at least Ryan will.
Ballroom jeans, fire hose work pants, and long-tail tees are three favorites among the men of Gun Guy Radio. Duluth Trading Company has perfected the art of clothing the manly man. If you want manly comfort that's trusted by these gun guys, go to gunguyradio.com/Duluth and check out the other manly essentials Duluth Trading Company offers gun guys like us.
Hey, it's Jake here, just checking in here on Ryan, and I wanted to make sure that you're enjoying this episode of Gun Guy Radio. And if you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/gun. What is Patreon, you may ask? Well, Patreon is a simple way for you to crowdfund every episode of Gun Guy Radio. If you're enjoying this show, you can go over to patreon.com/gun and pledge either $1 an episode or $5 an episode to, throw your support behind Pro Gun Radio like this. And also we have some companies that are throwing their support behind Gun Guy Radio by giving some gift cards and gear to send out and random battle boxes that go out to only our patrons here at Gun Guy Radio. Alien Gear Holsters have given $25 gift cards. Works Holsters have given $25 gift cards. LA Police Gear has given some bags, and Duluth Trading Company has given $50 gift cards. Not to mention Duke Cannon Supply Company has also given Field Box gift packs of big-ass bricks of soap, and GunGoddess.com has also included $25 gift cards. You can get all that and more in a random drawing of our battle boxes that we send out to the exclusive group of patrons of Gun Guy Radio. So walk, don't run over to Patreon. Wait, I said that wrong. Patreon.com/gun.
Gun Guy Radio says thank you and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. HunterofDesign.com.
So that wraps us up. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes so that you never miss a show, and leave us your review as well. And please consider joining the NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation. They do things fighting for our rights that we as individuals just can't accomplish alone, but together we can do great things. And don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows like Handgun Radio on the Firearms Radio Network. Well, thanks, Brian.
Thank you. It was a great time.
We'll see you
next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. Want more pro-gun podcasts like this one? Show your support by contributing to patreon.com/FRN. It's a great way to help create more of these pro-gun radio shows. Head on over to patreon.com/FRN today. Are you looking for an extraordinary daily carry option? Look no further. Car Arms is giving away a P9 with night sights right here on the Firearms Radio Network. It's Car's EDC drawing. To enter, simply become a Patreon of any Firearms Radio Network show. Current patrons are automatically entered. But wait, there's more. Keybar, Hellbent holsters, Alien Gear holsters, Precision Ear, and more have ponied up to enhance your EDC loadout. See all of these awesome prizes and more ways to enter at firearmsradio.tv/EDC.